Hi, Lindsay. Welcome to the NTM Growth Marketing Podcast. I'm excited to speak with you today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
I want to jump right in and hear what your definition of the name of your company is. What is a CMO sidekick?
What is a CMO Sidekick? A CMO Sidekick is whatever you want it to be, right? It's your partner in crime, it's your sounding board, it's a person to help you fill in all of the tasks that you need done. I think is really interesting when I was thinking about what I wanted to name my company. I kind of kept going back to when I was sitting in this CMO role, like the role just had grown so big. And I do feel like modern CMO roles, there's so many things and so many tasks put on a CMO from, driving growth, driving brand, like looking at AI, looking at efficiencies, automation. And, one person just can't get it all done. And I was starting to feel like that and talking to my peers in the
Mhm.
industry. And I feel like everyone was really starting to feel like, man, I have so much on my plate. I don't have resources to hire anyone senior, and I just don't know how I'm going to get it all done. And so I kind of had this aha moment, like, oh, I could be the solution for that. I could come in, I could help CMOs or senior marketing leaders really figure out, where I could be an extension of them and an extension of their brains, and give them a sounding board and help them work on more, senior strategic tasks. And so yeah, that's how I kicked off my business. And I would say that's kind of how I define that business name.
Can you expand upon how the role of a CMO has expanded over the years? Maybe from the start of your professional career to how it shifted in December 2023 as we're recording this.
Yeah, I would say, I would say in the past, like a CMO's role, when I started out in this business and is really more driving brand and, the health of the brand. I remember when I was the brand manager back at Red Bull, and we would just be consistently and constantly looking at the health of the brand and like brand performance. And then, I would say over the last 5 years, you've started to see these growth roles pop up, and growth marketing and performance marketing. And, you know, not that brand has been thrown to the wayside. At some companies it has, but I would say there's this big emphasis on driving, you know, con- lower funnel consideration and purchase intent, and showing how those brand dollars are making those performance dollars more efficient. And I would say that really probably didn't exist like maybe 5 years ago. Some more progressive companies were starting to operate in that way, but now you kind of see those roles everywhere. And so the CMO is not just responsible for really the health of the brand, but also driving short-term sales, driving performance, driving efficiency of dollars, and really being held more accountable on the measurement side of things. I would say also just like I feel like CFOs have gotten more involved in marketing and driving, where and how dollars are spent. And that CMO's role is responsible for, guiding the CFO and making sure that, we're not just putting dollars into the lowest funnel action, because that's actually not very efficient. If you think about, your spend over time. And then I also think just like lately over the last year, like the CMO has taken on responsibility of how to integrate AI into organizations, how to use AI to have more resource efficiency, to get smarter about your audience and your customers. Um, and those are just all kind of new things to think about in this like entire ecosystem of marketing, along with thinking about, you know, retention marketing and CRM and, email marketing and SEO, which sometimes has gone by the wayside. So I do think that role has expanded quite a bit, and there's lots of different kind of pockets of expertise that a CMO needs to have an understanding of. And it's just really changed quite a bit from where it was very simple, I would say about 10 or 15 years ago.
Can you share your own transformation then as a marketer to adapt with how the digital age has been shifting and just, what a CMO needs to look like in December 2023? Like, how was that transition for you as an
Yeah.
individual?
So I would say I'm like definitely have always been like an early adopter in my career. Like I've always tried to like kind of read the tea leaves of like what the next future thing was and then like know as much as I could about it. So, early in my career, I was, I would say even back to my first job, I was working on at an agency on AT&T and T, and I was doing, doing more traditional marketing and they needed somebody to work on the website marketing. And I was kind of the youngest person at the agency. And I was like, I'll do it. I'll raise my hand and do it. And I was like, great, young person, you do it. And then I would say, in like early 2006, I remember when I was at Saatchi and working on Twitter before when Twitter was in beta and working on social before it was even a thing and making content and just really like trying to align myself and what was kind of coming next or what was feeling like the big thing. I think too, I've tried to get myself really well rounded around retail marketing and understanding retailers and wholesale. And, digital has always been an undercurrent theme in my career, but also then understanding production and creative and making content and making TV spots and kind of the table stakes thing. So I would say for my transformation, I would say today in December of 2023 is just really having an amalgamation and an experience in all of those areas, whether it's brand or growth or retention, the things we were just talking about, which has kind of given me the confidence to start my own business here and say, hey, I've got all these things. I've had this great experience. Like I can apply this to many different companies versus
Mm.
just, the one company I'm working with and for. So I would say that, and even this year, just taking the time to really understand AI and the impact on the industry and where I can either suggest it and or use it in my own daily to help get to faster solutions and help drive strategy much faster, and use it as my co-pilot, I think has been really interesting. And then trying to kind of give that knowledge to others as well.
Mhm.
So I feel like for me personally, that I guess I see it as a transformation now, but in the time, it's like, okay, I'm just kind of trying to learn the things that are coming and trying to stay ahead of what's coming. And I think that's really important as digital and is always changing. There's always more vendors. There's always, more ways to integrate technology into your strategy and measurement into your strategy um and just kind of staying ahead of the curve.
You mentioned AI, and I'd love to hear your take on how AI impacted marketing in 2023. Any thoughts of where you think it's going to be going in the new year? And I say this because when I heard AI, I always thought, oh, that's going to be the truck drivers that get replaced. ChatGPT
Yeah.
happened, and then I went, oh crap, this is going to be white collar workers, myself, who are going to be potentially in jeopardy. And so for me personally, it was a big frantic moment at the start of the year, just not knowing what the heck was going on with OpenAI, what was, the continual advancement. So from your own experience, how did AI impact marketing in 2023? And like I said, what do you think is going to happen in the new year?
It's funny because I've been to, several kind of conferences throughout the year with peers, and I feel like everyone's knee-jerk reaction was, oh, ChatGPT is gonna like replace copywriters. And I've never thought that. I actually think creativity is really inherent, and I don't think that ChatGPT is and or any tool like that is going to inherently be able to solve a creative solution like a human brain will. Um, and I would say that in marketing, I do what I've heard is just that's kind of the easiest, like lowest hanging fruit for marketers is like using chat gpt to kind of help with kind of more writing tasks or copywriting tasks. Now I think how I use it in my daily life. And so I use I'll tell you maybe a little bit about some of the tools that I use. I love a program called Read.ai, and it's an assistant that I have join all of my meetings. And It's amazing. It will tell me how engaged someone was with me when they talk with me, what it reads it's their face, and says, oh, this person was very engaged, or this person was listening to you at this point in the conversation. Tells
And it
me how
also,
fast I'm speaking,
if
how
I
I
can
need to slow
interject
down.
real quick with a
Sure.
question, can it tell you if the person was simultaneously working on Slack and email as they were speaking to you?
It does. It will say this person was not engaged in this moment because they will notice it's looking somewhere else. So it's very interesting. And then I also I use it to I take the transcripts and I put it in. I actually don't use ChatGPT. I like Claude, CLAUDE.ai. And what I do after I have meetings is I'll take the transcripts and I'll put them through Claude and I'll pull out all the key takeaways, all the big questions asked, follow ups. Sometimes I'll have it help me write proposals. So I kind of use it as like my co-pilot, or as my assistant. I would say sometimes it helps me, if I have like some like strategy questions, or want it to build like a like customer profile for me, I'll have it help me do that. And again, it just kind of helps me speed up to get to solutions faster. I don't use it to like replace my brain, but I use it to help kind of enhance some of my thinking, and to help me, maybe look at a problem a little bit differently. Um, so yeah, I think I think it can also like help teams solve for like manual tasks, like lots of like automation, create automation versus a lot of, you know, doing like data entry. I think it's
Mhm.
something that can be used to be programmed specifically for that for marketing teams. There's a lot of that still happening in media and tagging and all those types of tasks. I feel like it can really solve for. And then I would say the biggest thing is this year I joined an AI research company as an advisor called Brox, Brox.ai. And what it does is, so you've heard of, you know, br- brand tracking research is pretty standard. Like you have YouGov and Kantar are the big ones, and they tell you like how your brand is doing basically. So, oh, your awareness is high, your purchase intent is high, or your consideration is low. And that's kind of what you get from brand tracking results. And what this does is it takes qualitative data. So it takes video interviews, qualitative data. They put it through their LLM, and then you get the why behind it. And you can search as a marketer and be like, in the week of, December 5th, why was my brand awareness high compared to Netflix or whatever? Let's say I'm in the streaming space. And so that's been really interesting to get more, to be able to get faster consumer data, where it would have taken a human like months to put together like a final report or a summary of what was happening with your brand. And by that time, it's like the time has already passed. This is really instant gratification around, what's happening with your brand and why in a moment. So those are kind of like the AI tools that I've been using, some of them. And really, I think that I think that right now for marketers, what's really hard is trying to figure out how and what to integrate, because there are so many things, there are so many new things, there's so many new companies popping up. And so I'm starting to see all these kind of like consultants kind of pop up. And I've been dabbling a little bit in this space as well, as helping companies figure out like what tools they should be using and how to speed up productivity for their employees, which I really think right now is kind of like the lowest hanging fruit for companies to integrate that into their strategy.
The last question I have for today is around marketing mentors. So we connected through Gary Vaynerchuk's webinar. I never asked actually, were you on it live or you just were on the follow-up email afterwards?
No, I was on it live.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So I've been following Gary for I don't know, 10 years or so, and he's a marketing mentor from afar. Who in your world has been a marketing mentor for you and why have you gravitated towards that person?
That's a great question. Ooh, good question. I would say for me, it's kind of people in my career that have, you know, that have touched me or inspired me. And so for me, it's like a variety of people. Like I would say, whenever I kind of make a career shift or a job shift, I've kind of got my usual suspects of people that I like to call and just say, hey, I'm thinking about making a move, or I'm making a move. For me, someone who's always been really inspiring is a man named Christian Jacobson. He owns the Many Agency in Los Angeles, and he's always been like very progressive and ahead of the curve, and he's always given me kind of great, mentorship and advice throughout my career. And I worked for him when I started my journey at Red Bull. And I would say Gary Vee is another one as well. Worked with Vayner in the past and doing a little work with him right now. And
Awesome. Have you been to
just love,
VCon?
like, I did not go to VCon. I want to go this year. We did meet up in Cannes, which was fun with that team. And I just think that Vayner's just doing really kind of amazing things in the digital space. And, recently sat in on a presentation with them and was just like, wow, that's exactly what I would have done. Or, oh, I just did that at my, at when I was at Ring. And so, for me, I do feel like they are very progressive. And, I like what Gary's been talking about on LinkedIn and using LinkedIn as a tool
Mhm.
to drive influence. And I'm working on some LinkedIn influencer stuff at the moment. That's kind of, I would say, a pioneering type of thing in the space. And but yeah, I like you similarly, like, pull my inspiration from kind of those around me who are driving like progressiveness in the marketing space and maybe zigging when everyone else is zagging.
Perfect, Lindsay. So to wrap up, I would love for you to share any links, any ways for someone to follow up with you.
Sure. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/Lindsey Scheftic, Scheftic. My website is the CMO Sidekick.com. And yeah, always happy to chat and have an open dialogue and hear what people are up to in the marketplace and meet amazing people. So thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lindsay.